Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. And hopefully, you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Here's the thing, just gonna do a little experimentation with the camera, see how this goes. Mine, let's take a look. One thing's working, the other's not. That's all right. But we're gonna talk about the Mets. We're gonna talk about the Mets as we obviously. Mets won today. Mets won today. um, 7-4. It was 7-3 against the Marlins. They scored some more runs. They scored a lot of runs the last couple of days after this change that they made with the lineup, and they should probably stick with this for a while. I've been saying for quite a while that Brandon Nimmo should be batting in the middle of this lineup. I think he's graduated as a player now to where he is not really a leadoff hitter anymore. He's more become sort of a middle of the order guy, and obviously he leads the Mets in RBIs. Hit a big home run tonight. They needed that home run badly because obviously Edwin Diaz can't be closing games right now. Apparently, he doesn't have any confidence. He doesn't have any confidence, and the Mets don't seem too enamored with having him there late in the game. He's blown too many games, and really, I mean, the unbelievable part about Saturday was how he had absolutely nothing. He had nothing Saturday night. Um, which is probably the most disconcerting thing about the whole thing was how he had absolutely positively nothing in his arsenal. Uh, Craig Bart, 4 runs first inning, then they go to sleep until ninth. This team never adds on. They won the game, man. Just appreciate the win. Yeesh. Score runs every inning. I mean, yeah, this is how it is. This is how it is. This is how baseball is. They won the game. Move on. That's it. Baseball Reference going into today's game give the Mets a 21.4% chance of going to postseason. So they're still in it. Okay. This is not see. The problem is that now baseball's a little bit different now. We can if this was like the old National League East, let's be out of it, or be down 2 divisions. The Mets would be out of it. Craig, lighten up. It's only sports. It's not real life. Lighten up. You know. Um, I'm not being mean or anything, but coming in, don't come in. This is not we can talk about the Mets, folks, but I am not the complaint department. If you have issues with the Mets, uh, email Steve Cohen. Call the Mets front office. you know, Sitting around complaining about to your host, your humble, sweet host, does not do you well because I get very irritated very quickly when people come in here and start complaining. And people have been complaining about the club for 3 years since I've been doing this channel. Even when they win 100 games, people were complaining. Unless you win every game and, unless you win 162 games, people aren't happy, you know. But in the meanwhile, please like this video. I'll tell it like it is, Sorry. It's how it is with me. But this lineup looked pretty good in the last couple of days. Obviously, the night thing on Saturday was a disaster. But they should stick with this lineup. Keep Brandon Nimmo in the middle of this lineup. I think that's the most obvious thing to do. And I've been saying this since the offseason, that he was probably ready to be a 5 hitter on this team, a 6 hitter on this team. But I think maybe for now, you bat him third in this lineup. I was thinking coming home from work today, I was thinking to myself, Mets don't have an all-star. Did you realize that? We've gone through a quarter. We've gone through a quarter um, of the season. And the Mets don't have one player that's having a great start. Closest we have is Brandon Nimmo. And that says something about this team a little bit, how the mediocrity is. And this is how mediocrity is sometimes. is you'll have players that should be playing well and they're not playing well, and players that you would hope that would have big years, they're not having anything, not having any good years. Um, so right now, Mets don't have really a clear. Also, the closest, like I said, is Brandon Nimmo. you know, and coming into the game, he's hitting 216. The OPS pluses on some of these players is just off the wall. Um, Offensively, the guy with the highest OPS is JD Martinez, 141, and the second one is DJ Stewart. DJ Stewart is a part-time player, and Martinez just got here. And then after that, it's Brandon Nimmo, who's missed some time this week. That's interesting. But and then they've got Francisco Lindor batting leadoff on this lineup the last couple of days. His numbers, folks. Let me read you some of the numbers here. Going into the game, he's hitting 190. His on base percentage is 265. His slugging percentage is 617. His OPS plus is 80. 80. You can't make up uh, numbers that poor. Hello, Rocky Marciano. How you doing? I mean, these numbers are just so bad, folks. You can't help but get sick over it. Pete Alonso in a third of the season or quarter of the season has 23 RBIs. That's the equivalent of 92 RBIs if he finishes that with that pace. Pathetic. Francisco Lindor has 22 RBIs. Hello, Deron Rivera. Now, please, of course, like the video if you're coming in, and of course, subscribe. So these numbers offensively are not great. Now, Brandon Nimmo's numbers are pretty good. The RBI total is excellent. Um, you got a good chance to drive in 100 if he stays healthy. But let me get on down to Edwin Diaz. Right now, going into today's game, in 18 games, he's got an ERA of 5.50. 18 innings, 13 runs, 11 earned runs, 5 home runs, 7 walks, 27 strikeouts. That's not a great ratio in terms of the strikeouts per 9 inning. The walk rate's not that bad, but the home runs, 2.5 home runs per 9 innings. That is horrible. 5 home runs in 18 games. It's terrible. That's a worse percentage than 5 years ago in 2019. That seems like so close. It seems so far away, does it? 2019, when really he had just one of the worst years in the history of baseball for a closer, for a guy that was so good, the year before. But the difference is between that year and this year, he's not throwing as hard. Now, I'm very concerned about that fact that his velocity is so low. And I think you should be very concerned by it too, because he's a guy that throws up to 98 miles an hour, 99 miles an hour. And the fact that he's up to 96 should concern a lot of people. Now, he says he's not hurt. Let's say he's not hurt, but there's something going on. And we know the knee injury. People saying, I had somebody write to me, oh, I knew Edwin Diaz wasn't going to be good this year. He wasn't going to pitch well. I knew that. I wrote the guys like, you didn't know that. How would you know that? He didn't hurt his arm. He hurt his knee. So it's like, what are you talking about? Now, I do believe that when the weather starts getting warmer, I think he's going to find it. I think the cold weather is kind of hurting him a little bit. Hello, Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn. Rocky Marciano says a year off just might be the reason. They were kind of fishing the other night, talking about how the Mets, how he's having all kinds of problems with the pitch clock. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's a problem. How's that affecting his velocity? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you see him all TikTok. This is how I sit during the shouldn't sit like this during live streams. But so it's one of those things that you have Diaz pitching so poorly, and it's killing him. Pope says it seems that Diaz has gone back to not getting over the ball. He's put back to pushing the ball like in 2019. Well, the difference about that year and this year is that he was really hanging those sliders. He's not hanging the sliders. He's just not throwing his fastball. He doesn't have command of the fastball. He's walking batters way too high for him. He's not throwing the fastball for strikes. You gotta get ahead in the count with a fastball. We know he throws the slider a lot, but if you constantly throw that slider, and we've seen it, and they've talked about it on these different broadcasts. You keep throwing slide. We learned this from Tim McCarver. Tim McCarver always said that if you throw too many sliders, folks, that ball is gonna like basically sit there. You're gonna get a ball that gets hit usually doesn't have any spin to it. So there's been plenty of we have plenty of examples of analysts telling us why throwing too many sliders isn't good. Now the only guy I remember that threw a lot of sliders that didn't throw too many meatballs was Turk Wendell. Um, Popey says the slider seems to have lost the snap. Well, the snap needs to have a comparison. You got to have a live fastball. If you're throwing 99 miles an hour and you're throwing a 98, 91 mile an hour slider, that's a big difference. But if you're throwing a 91 mile an hour slider and a 96 mile an hour fastball and you don't have any command of that fastball, that slider is just going to sit up there on a tee. The ball that Randy or Rosarena, can't get his name right. Randy Rosarena or Rosarina, it doesn't matter what you call him. The guy that plays with the Rays, he threw that slider to him that he hit the home run in the ninth inning last week. If he just showed him a fastball and then went back to that slider, he would have had him out. But when you have a guy that throws as hard as he does, he thinks he could just throw it up there, and he has been able to do that. That's a situation he has to pitch. But when you get these closers, a lot of these relievers don't know how to pitch. They just throw it up there. Um, and that's the thing about Diaz is he just throws it up there. A prodigy. Um, he hasn't been burned when he locates the fastball. Exactly. If he's throwing his fastball, even if it's just as a show me pitch, that'll make his slider more effective. You know, and it gives the hitter a different look. If you keep throwing slider after slider and after slider, you're gonna throw a flat one up there. It's inevitable. Even Steve Carlton threw a slider that was easy to hit. If he kept throwing it, I'm sure, plenty of times, and he wasn't snapping it. You got to be able to change the eye level. You got to be able to change the speed and the location. And if you're not doing that, and you just look at, all you got to do is what right now the way he's pitching. All you got to do is look for that slider. If you look for that slider and don't worry about having that fastball thrown at you, then you're in good shape. You know. Now, please, of course, like this video if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button. Um, I'm trying to get guests on here. Okay, I have one guy that's kind of busy, and he wants to come on. But he's got his own thing with his own videos and live streams, so it's kind of tough for me to get him on. He's just a dopey Phillies fan. Want to get him in here, just sort of make fun of the Phillies and make fun of the Mets and all that stuff. And I'm thinking about doing these other things. I've been so busy with this move that I've made, and been trying to figure out. And I've been very busy, even when I'm off from work and not doing videos. I'm a very very busy guy. To be honest with you, I'd like to get some more. I'd like to get some guest on. Get somebody on. It'd be nice to talk to somebody. At this rate, you know, I'll plan to get some guests on here just to break it up. I know you're tired of hearing from me. I like to have some people in here to yap with. And I got Wi-Fi in this house. I didn't have Wi-Fi in the other house. Well, the Braves are losing 5-0 in the fourth inning to the Padres. Braves are 4.5 games behind the Phillies. It won't take long before them to cut that deficit when they get to the summer. They start banging on whatever the hell they're doing there. Rocky Marciano says, "Get Diaz on." I don't. The most concerning thing is that he says he has no confidence. That's the most concerning thing to me, is that he says that his confidence is in the pits. Now it's 6-0 Padres. Jurickson Provar, the guy that killed the Mets in playoffs 2 years ago, is killing the Braves right now. Just hit a run scoring double. And now Brian Snicker, that sort of that very excited guy, he always looks pissed off. Looks like a serial killer is coming out to take the starter out. Yeah. All right, so the Mets will be playing the Guardians this week. That's gonna be a tough series. The Guardians have played really well. Tomorrow or Tuesday, I believe, it's Adrian Hauser versus Carlos Carrasco. I can't believe he's still pitching in the majors, and he's probably pitched well. I'm sure. I'm sure of it. Let me take a quick peek at the old Carlos. What was his name? I'm sorry, I can't call a grown man Cookie. People say, I call him Cookie. That's his name. I'm not calling any grown man Cookie. That's for sure. Let's take a look and see what he's up to. So he will be pitching on Tuesday, not Tuesday, but Tuesday. And let's see. Tomorrow the Mets send out Tyler McGilligan's Ben Lively. Yes, Tuesday is Adrian Hauser versus Carlos Correa on Wednesday. He's kind of done. He's 37 years old. With a 5.16 ERA. 45 in that third innings. He's given up 8 home runs. That sounds about right. That sounds about right, folks. He just had an issue with his mechanics. Well, let's go and upgrade the pitching and head coach. Well, let me tell you something. The Mets have gotten rid of his name, Jeremy Hefner, last year going into the season, because we don't know. We watch the games. We know that how important a pitching coach is and how poorly he has been, how bad he's been. That's always illegal walks, a lot of long counts, always giving up home runs. I would mention we've had some like all kinds of minor league promotions with the Mets today. Let me see. Nolan McLean got sent to Double A. He's going from Brooklyn to Binghamton, which that's a big deal because he's a two-way player. Surprised they're rushing him so quickly. And then with the Binghamton team, the Mets are sending Blade Tidwell, who's a big Met prospect, pitching wise, right-handed pitcher, and he pitched well the other day. He's going with the AAA Syracuse, and Rylan Thomas is a very intriguing player for the Mets. People compare him to like an outfield version of Jeff McNeil, or at least the McNeil we remember, a guy that could hit a lot. He's a high batting average guy. He's a guy that hits over 300. He has no power, but he does a lot of things well, and he's a good defensive outfielder. He's from A Prodigy, who seems to be in the Mets organization. You won't tell me what he does. He says he follows me. And he's had some really interesting real interesting tidbits on some of these Met prospects. Says that McLean was easily the most impressive guy in the Cyclones and a good guy too. Oh, that's good to know. He played for Oklahoma last year. That's when the Mets drafted him out of Oklahoma. But the Mets are some of these players are now starting to percolate through the system in Double A and Triple A now. It's only a matter of time where some of this ping, I think, will get better. I was very disappointed in the way Christian Scott pitched his last start. That's why I'm not a big fan of Jeremy Hefner. Other than what he did for Edwin Diaz 2 years ago, I've not seen any Met pitcher get better under him. Okay, even though we've seen this thing with Reed Garrett, I don't trust Reed Garrett, and his career numbers tell me one thing, and this year tells me something totally different. Um, A Project says, I followed your channel for a while, but I changed my channel name this past year. Okay. I was very concerned about the schedule, and I think I've talked about it a lot. Very concerned about the schedule this year, especially in the beginning, because the Mets pitching staff is not great. They're an older pitching staff, a lot of sort of guys that are coming in here that have sort of become journeymen. Sean Manaea has become a journeyman pitcher, although he pitched really well today. Um, he pitched really well from the 5 innings that he pitched. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. And I know that the bullpen has been pretty good, but they walk too many batters. And when you walk so many batters like the Mets do, it's going to make it very difficult to win. And we know that. We all know that. I mean, the walk rate on some of these pitchers with the Mets is just outrageous, and you can't like be successful that way. It is very difficult to be successful when you're pitching so poorly. Uh, a Prodigy says Scott is a future Zach Wheeler. Interesting. He has really good stuff. I think the thing about his stuff is that it jumps. Um, that's the thing I've noticed. His stuff jumps. It. He's got a very easygoing delivery, and then all of a sudden the ball jumps on you. And that was the one thing I noticed in the first start was how hard he threw. He doesn't really seem like he throws that hard, but it jumps on you. I mean, it's got electric stuff. Um, so he's one of these guys that has a chance to be really good. Now, obviously, I've not seen the other guys. Okay, other than little bits and pieces here. We haven't seen Blade Tidwell yet. We're going to see him pretty soon. I know Mike Vassell has not pitched well in the minors. I know that Dom Hamill hasn't pitched all that great. Um, but Blade Tidwell is probably the other guy that's probably going to be a impact type pitcher. I would hope that some of these guys make it to the majors this year. Because to be honest with you, watching these older guys fail, it's not inspirational. It's not inspirational to follow that and to sort of go through that. Um, let's see here. Also, Omar De Los Santos, he's getting called up too. He's going to Double A. Interesting. So they've been pretty active today with their minor leagues. I'm very surprised that they've been calling been promoting a lot of these players over the last couple of days, and last week or two, because. But I guess they kind of figured that's the way to get this team better, and that's what I felt coming into the season, that the team will get better, just just because Um, Lost my train of thought. A Prodigy says he can't hit. He's all speed. A Prodigy, who is that? Who's he? Who is he? Omar De Los Santos? Who is he? I would mention, if you say a player's name, please. If you say, don't say he, don't use a pronoun. Say the player's name so I know who you're talking about. Because I'm a little scatterbrained right now. Omar, okay. So he can't really hit. He's just a speed guy. Okay. Speed. Yeah, there's always a place for speed in baseball. I mean, the running ability. They don't do the speeding anymore in the baseball, in the major leagues anymore. Now, please, of course, like this video and hit the subscribe button. I'm only scatterbrained. I was doing good. I was doing good until I started talking about the minors. Greg Zeman says Scott has good movement, but not electric. I think they're rushing Scott. I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think he is where he is. I think we kind of felt that he was probably going to be the first of these minor leaguers to make it to the majors. If he goes back down, that's not the worst thing in the world. If he has to go back, he is on a pitch. He is on a innings limit. How many innings did he pitch last year? 85. So I guess they wanted to bring him up. They figured, he's dominating Triple A. There's no reason to have him down there. Sprout and Tom down the road could be rotation. Who's Tom? Who's Tom? D. Ryan Rivera. We know Sprout is going to be pretty good. But who is Tom? Tom down the road. Hmm. And I mean, really, we know Brandon Sprout does really hard. We saw him a little bit in that spring breakout game. He's got a good arm. And I would mention that he played 4 years in college because he wanted to make more money. Um, he wanted to make more money and get drafted higher. But he played 4 years of college, so he's a little more seasoned than some of the other pitchers that the Mets have. Oh, Jonah Tong. Well, Tong is an interesting case because last year he walked the ballpark, and this year he has not. Tong is a different kind of animal. We need to see a little more of him. Um, he's a kid that came from Canada, and I think he pitched in Florida, and he got drafted by the Mets. He is kind of a pitching lab protege, a pitching lab example. So he's a little bit different than, say, some of the um, other guys that the Mets have. He's a guy that sort of has come out of nowhere because he's not on any list right now. I would expect by the middle of the season he'll be on some lists. It'd be interesting to see what kind of trade deadline the Mets have because if they stick around, they're not going to be getting rid of players. They're not going to be getting. The only player I could see them moving is Jeff McNeil at any point because I think some of these players. Hey, A Prodigy, I'm so scatterbrained right now. A Prodigy, I have a question for you. What is the view on Luis Angel Acuna? If you're still in the chat, let me know what people think about him. What's the Mets organization's uh, impression of him? What's your impression of him? Because he's not gotten off to all that hot of a start since he came here in that trade for Max Scherzer. I would also mention that Brian Clifford, who the Mets brought in from Houston, he is hit really well. He's played well to where the Mets sent him to. I'm so screwed up right now that they sent him to Double A this week. Let's get back to the game. I'm all messed up. This is what happens when I get when you start asking me stuff. Enough of that. Let me just go through this lineup a little bit. So now going through some of these numbers, it's amazing that DJ Stewart is doing as well as he is. This guy has been a 220 hitter his whole career, a 210 hitter, and he's doing really well. Starling Marte came in late in the game. Marte's had such a strange season. You would think that he'd be better than he has been, and he just hasn't been. He sort of had that good streak there for a while, but not great. Tyrone Taylor has been pretty good. He had a big hit in the first inning. Brett Beatty, boy, he is just a mess. I'm such not a fan of his. Not a fan of his. Uh, Jeff McNeil went for 5. Meh. Harrison Beta had a pretty good game. He got an RBI in the ninth inning. Went 2 for 4. I know he got an RBI in the beginning of the game. Omar Narvaez finally was credited with throwing out a runner, even though the Mets picked the guy off with the pitcher. He got credited with a caught steal. I don't know how that happens. But this lineup is just. Hopefully, this lineup will start to produce some runs. I would not bat Lindor in the middle of the lineup anymore. I think for now you bat him leadoff or you move him way down the line, fifth, sixth in the lineup. And I should not be. No one should ever be satisfied with him hitting 250. I know that one of those dingleberries from SNY suggested that if he bats 250, you should be happy. I'm not happy with that. A Project says Acuna is small, but he's got great baseball IQ. Well, he comes from a good family. I mean, the father, Ronald Acuna Sr. was a minor leaguer with the Mets in the '90s, and obviously his brother's a big player. Be interesting to see where he falls here. He should have played much better since the Mets got him. So I don't know what the deal is with him, but we'll find out before we know it. Hopefully now. We'll see how the Mets play over the next week and a half. Because next week's Memorial Day, that's the next barometer. They're now 4 games under 500. They're still in the wild card hunt. If they hang around, I would expect them to bring veteran talent in here without giving up any of their young players. I think they'll probably continue to move some of these players that aren't producing. I know that the general manager believes in Adrian Hauser. We'll see how he pitches on Tuesday against the Guardians. Um, I'm not a big fan of his. You can't be walking the amount of batters that he's been walking and get away with it. Uh, Steve Sophia, Dingleberry, Scooter was a holy cow. Oh, hey, Sophia. Oh, holy, hey, Seaver. Hey, White. Holy cow. Oh, oh, oh. It's time to go home. I gotta get on the right. I gotta go see Cora. Anyway, I do impressions, believe it or not. Um, Hopefully now we'll see where the Mets are after this road trip because the Guardians is going to be a tough test because that is a good team and they've been a good team for a long time now. So it'll be interesting to see where the Mets fit, how they handle them. Adrian Hauser pitches the second game. Tyler McGill's back. He'll be pitching tomorrow night. They played 6 o'clock, and then on Wednesday they play they send out Quintana. Then this weekend they play the Giants, and next week the Dodgers. What a rough stretch the Mets have. Although the Giants are beat up, they had all these injuries. They lost Jung Ho Lee to an arm injury. Terrible. I mean, what a waste of money. Good thing it was the Mets money. They wasted enough money. Also, want to mention this thing about Pete Alonso. I mentioned on the baseball hut too that there's a story out about Pete how the Mets offered him last year. They offered him a 7-year, $158 million contract, which was comparable to what Freddie Freeman got. And Pete, like a dope, turned it down. And ever since Pete turned it down, he's hit terribly. It's almost like a Groundhog's Day version of Michael Conforto. Can you believe that shit? You couldn't make that up if you could. He's basically doing what Michael Conforto did, which is absolutely nothing since he turned down that contract. Shouldn't have turned it down, Pete. Now he's going to get a hell of a lot less now. And I have real concerns about that bat speed. Like I said in the video, him and a couple other places, the first thing that goes with a power hitter is the batting average. We saw that with Gary Carter. We saw that with Mike Piazza. I use them as examples because they're power hitters, not because they're catchers. But the first thing that goes with a power hitter, it's a great power hitter, um, is the batting average. Now with Gary Carter, he started as a 270 hitter, 280 hitter. Uh, then he became a 255 hitter. Green Lion 781 says, "Is there something strategic about the Pete story getting leaked?" I don't know. Strategic how? This stuff always gets out. What's the strategy behind it? An irresistible chicken sandwich. Back home from Junior's restaurant and bakery after seeing the Knicks season come to a sad end tonight, the strawberry cheesecake will ease the pain. That's terrible what happened with the Knicks. The Knicks sort of just fizzled, to be honest with you. I mean, really, I watched most of the games with the Knicks and the Rangers. The Rangers kind of took a lull. I mean, they won the first 7 games in the postseason, the Rangers, and they sort of lost 2 in a row, and then they came roaring back and won game 6. But the Knicks, they just sort of fizzled. The physicals, they didn't have Julius Randle on the game and in the games. They lost what's his name? That AG Ogabaga, if the hell his name is, and who's a great player, but he can't stay healthy. But they've dealt with so many major injuries, and every game, Brunson was getting hurt. And he was having to come back in. Like every game was like a walk. It was like a Willis Reed moment. An irresistible chicken sandwich is having so many injuries, crippled and fizzled them away. Brunson fractured his hand was the nail in the coffin. Yeah, I mean, they were just there was no like second option, so they were just beating the hell out of him. you know, and give the Pacers credit because they were 2 games down in this series, and the Knicks had no answer, you know. And they had the series in Game 6, and then they had Game 7 at home in Madison Square Garden. The only thing I thought was funny was watching Spike Lee in his clown outfit, on the side there, all depressed. So I don't really care for him. He's just as like a clown at 65 years old. I mean, come on, guy weighs 100 pounds and he looks like Flavor Flav. It's ridiculous. I mean, really, that's the only good thing. I didn't like seeing Clyde Frazier the other night, in the stands, all depressed. I didn't care for that. We don't like it when Clyde is upset. But I didn't mind Spike Lee being all pissed off. That was great. You know, it was like they tell Flavor Flav he couldn't bring his clock into a restaurant. The clock he wears around his neck. That's how he looked. That's how Spike Lee looked with the big Elton John glasses that he wore. You see those glasses? Guy thinks he's Elton John, for God's sake. I mean, give me a break. But anyway, off the beaten track, making fun of Spike Lee. Spike Lee dressed up like Elton John. Isn't that great? Who would think that'd be a comparison? Spike Lee and Elton John at this point. You don't get this kind of stuff anywhere else. I would mention I have a sticker here. I have merchandise on my channel. Somebody sent this to me. Somebody was nice enough to buy this and send this sticker to me. This is the Baseball Hut sticker. I have merchandise. I've been sort of contemplating, folks, of doing like a crowdfund where I crowdfund a hat. But I'm not happy with the logo for my hat because I have logos. I have hats in my store on YouTube, but I'm not a big fan of the logo on the hat. It doesn't look great. It doesn't pop. It doesn't splash. I love the logo. It looks great. I think it would look great, say, on a jersey as a patch. But I'm trying to ask some of my buddies to if I can find a designer just to redesign it a little bit. No, I got complete total silence from some of my former friends in the comic book industry. But I'm trying to think about doing like a crowdfund and selling some baseball hats, some baseball caps. I also had an idea of sort of selling baseballs with the Baseball Hut logo on it. That would be cool. It's now 7-0 San Diego. I'm doing that as crowdfund. Crowdfunding is like you ask people for money because you have an idea for a product and you want to sell it, and it's a great way to fund it because some of this stuff can be expensive. Buying baseballs are very expensive because you got to buy the cow. It's the cowhide. I think the price went down on it because there wasn't like this cow shortage there for a while. But that's sort of what I've been thinking about doing. But I do have products. Please check them out. One of the more popular products we have here is the mugs. Those sell pretty good. But I'd love to sell some hats, but nobody really cares for the logo. I think the logo, to be honest with you. But we'll see. I'll let you know if I come up with something, and we'll talk about it some other time. And I will be doing StreamYard at some point, like I haven't said, but I'll be doing StreamYard. This video is basically directly into YouTube. It's easier in some ways for me to sort of go through it and not have to be like on guard, like be a babysitter. But we'll see where that takes us. But anyway, so the Mets this week will be playing the Guardians, the Giants, and the Dodgers. Memorial Day week is next week. That is the next barometer. The Mets are now currently 4 games under 500. Where do the Mets? What are we expecting to be 4th of July? Who knows? Probably where we are right now. Stony 814, hiya, Hut. How you doing there, Stony? How's it going? Welcome to the show. Yeah, so I said, like I said earlier, I'm thinking about having guests in here. Gotta ask a friend of mine if I can get this broadcaster on here. He doesn't broadcast baseball anymore, but you'll know him. Believe me, you'll know him. I gotta ask. I think you can get him, but I'm not sure. And I've thought about bringing in subscribers. Should think about. I've been thinking about that today. Bringing in subscribers and talking to subscribers. That would be nice. Stony 814. Would you like to come on and be part of the live stream and talk to me and talk about the Mets? An irresistible chicken sandwich. Would you like to come on? Let's see. Uh, Rocky Marciano, you're always here. Um, would you like to be a guest on the show? Let's see who else. Greg Zeman, who's always here. He's been here since the beginning. Steve Sophia says crunch time nearly here. It's only May, not crunch time yet. Yeah, so we will plan something, Stony. Um, I'll plan something way ahead of advance. A Prodigy says I'd love to be a guest. Well, A Prodigy, where can I send you the like? I guess I could put the link in the description in the chat. I guess. Um, that's also a good way, I guess, to uh, connect more closer to the subscribers is invite people on and not just have you on when everybody's pissed off. I know that Wardy did that the other day, which I thought was fantastic. He put the stream link into the chat and he basically took callers. I think you should do that on a regular basis, or have like a rotating group of people coming in. I would mention if I do it, you got to have a microphone. You gotta have a microphone and headphones so you can hear me, because then there's an echo. So that's the one thing I'll say. If you want to come on, I'll let you know in advance. I'll leave in the community page. I'll talk to people. But if you want to come on, you gotta have headphones. You gotta have a little microphone so I can hear you and you can hear me. Or there's gonna be an echo. Stony 814's how you been, hon? I've been great. Been great. Channel's doing well. Um, House is doing good. I got a garage. I'm trying to get rid of this disgusting rug that was here when I got here. Gonna get rid of it this week. I got rid of so much garbage. Especially what you want to hear. I got rid of so much garbage here at the hut. You wouldn't believe it. I'm trying to sell stuff locally to people here. I have a refrigerator I want to get rid of. I have a freaking air conditioner I want to get rid of. Because the place I was at, I had to put an air conditioner in every year. And when I bought this air conditioner, it didn't fit in the window because wasn't a wooden. It was like kind of one of these air conditioners that needs to be put in a windowsill that was wooden. I didn't have that, so I couldn't install it. So it's kind of still in the box. What else do I want to sell? There's one other thing I wanted to sell. What the hell was it? Eight Stony 14 says I got PlayStation headphones. I hope that works. That should be fine. That should be as long as you can hear me. Because I mean that's what it comes down to. Because then there'll be an echo. If you can't hear me, and the echo is going to be bouncing back and forth. But I'll let you know when I decide to do that. Probably in a few weeks, I think. I have to plan it out. Let's get the YouTubes on here. See, what was different about the baseball hut before this is I didn't have Wi-Fi in the house, and because I didn't have Wi-Fi, it made it very difficult to do things. Um, it was very difficult for me to be on my own live streams. A lot of times I'd be talking, I'd be gone, and you'd be all sitting watching a blank screen. You don't have to. That hasn't happened now the last few weeks since I've been here doing these live streams. And I'll do a live stream in the other room. I haven't done that. Uh, Steve, so Sunday nights, one win, lose, or draw for just and this series would be perfect time for your brainchild with fans on with you for the show. Right. Sunday nights. That is a good night because people like I think it'd be fun. Max, did you talk about Diaz already? Yes, I did. I could talk about him again. Diaz is because the concern about Diaz is he hasn't been able to command his fastball. Once he has commanded that fastball, he should be able to pitch. I mean, that's the biggest problem. And when you throw too many sliders, you're going to hang one. You're going to have one sort of sit there Because what happens is, if you see, if a lot of times they'll show the camera behind the plate. If they show that baseball coming is moving, you know, if that dot is moving like this, folks, if it's not coming in straight, you see the dot going in straight, then it would be it's a good slider. But this certainly means it's sitting there, it's spinning. He's not been able to command his fastball, and because he's throwing slider after slider, he's going to throw one that's going to sit there. Uh, Steve, what he says, would it be nice if we can at least take 2 games from the Guardians coming up? I would be pumped. I don't think that's going to happen because they're really good. Guardians are a really good team and a really good organization. So that's the one thing I'll say. That's going to be tough. They got the best hitter in the game, it's Stephen Kwan. He's leading the American League in hitting. He's leading baseball in hitting, 354. They have a good pitching staff. They have a very good team. It doesn't matter who's the manager. They're good, and they've been good. Oh, Quan is hurt. Oh, Prodigy says Quan is hurt. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Now, in the meanwhile, please, of course, hit the like button. And if you're coming in for the first time, please subscribe. Over the next couple of months, I'm going to do more live streams. Going to do more. We'll do a big live stream, hopefully, for the trading deadline. Basher says, "How do you feel about putting Diaz back on the IL to figure it out? Are you trying to get him? You trying to get this general manager in trouble, like Steve, like Billy Epler got in trouble? I think you want to get Billy. I think you want to get David Stearns in trouble, don't you? Isn't that what happened the last time? They're not going to do that. You know, a project says the Mets usually beat the Guardians. I mean, really, Basher, do you want to see David Stearns get fired, get suspended, and get fired? I don't think you want to see that. Then you have another general manager. Then you have 8 general managers and 7 years. I would mention, I haven't mentioned this. The Met farm system is starting to pick up pace, starting to pick up. But I know that people like Frank Fleming have complained about the Met farm system. Well, this is the same asshole that's been talking about firing this guy and that guy left and right. And the Mets have been doing that for the last 7 years. And the farm system has struggled because you don't have one philosophy at the top of the front office. Hopefully, we have a philosophy now that's going to stick. But you can't be complaining about the Met farm system if you constantly telling people, "Oh, the Mets need to fire this one, that one, this one. I'm glad he's gone. Bring this guy in. Oh, he's terrible. Get him out of here." You're not going to be able to have any kind of consistency in your farm system. That's the one thing that happens when you have constant a revolving door of people coming in here. I mean, you can have incompetence. I mean, you got the Rockies that are incompetent as an organization. But if you keep taking people out of here, especially at the top, you're not going to have any kind of philosophy. I mean, that's the one a plus that Sandy Alderson and Terry Collins had, as they were together for 7 years, 7 seasons, and you saw a very good farm system producing players. And after that, you didn't see anything because you had this revolving door of people coming in with different philosophies all the time. But if you want to get David Stearns in trouble, there, Bastion, go right ahead. It might as well. And then the revolving door. And people can say, "I can't believe David Stearns did that after the thing with Billy Epler happened." Stony814 says, "Rockies last I knew won 7 games in a row." Even a blind squirrel gets a nut. Even a blind squirrel gets a nut. That I'll say. That's the truth. And of course, please like this video if you haven't already. And so we'll have a big show here. We'll have a big show here for the trade deadline. Come July 30th will be this year. That'll be fun. That's always fun. Bastion says, "Well, he's got to sell it well, man. He's got a bad hangnail commission, I swear." I mean, really, that would be funny. It wouldn't be funny because then it'd be a mess. And then you'll get assholes like at WFN say, "The Mets are gonna Mets." LOL Mets. That's just the simplest timeline stupidity. LOL Mets. It doesn't get any better. It's the same old, complete total monkey crap from the same wing of the Mets fans contingent. they couldn't. They get. I think if that happened, Steve Cohen would be in really trouble. And Major League Baseball don't like the Mets anyway. You know that. We see Acuna get up in the majors. Really what are you going to get for him? I mean, what are you going to get for him? Am I frozen? Frozen. Am I frozen? I don't think frozen. Oh boy. I guess the internet kind of died out here. Am I back? Am I back yet? Let's take a look. Everything was going well. Okay, back to whew. Well, that's good. I don't see the Mets moving Alonso because you're not going to get any kind of value with him. I don't see them moving Martinez yet. I think a lot has to depend where they are in the wild card race. Because Jeff McNeil is making crazy money. He's got versatility. He's got that pedigree of winning the batting title. Some team will want him. Lindor's contract right now is not a contract you move in season. I would move him. I would get rid of him. Videos. I could see the Mets having like half this core, quote unquote, be gone next year. I think that's going to happen. I think two of them are going to be gone. Alonso, the Bastion says Alonso needs to be a DH. We need to get a franchise first baseman. There are no things. First base is not a big deal anymore. It's not a big deal. Sony Ford says, could you see Severino being traded? Only if the Mets are really out of it. And only if the Mets have a lot of prospects coming up to the system. Blake Tidwell's ready. It's hard to say. Well, I'm going to end the live stream right now. I didn't want to go on too long. I don't want to conflict with any of the live streams. I know that Let's Talk with Rob's coming up. I don't want to be conflicting with anybody. Manners when it comes to streaming. But I'll be back maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Talking about the Mets, of course. and I'm going to leave you here. Have a good night. We'll see you in the near future. Maybe I'll come on during the day. We'll see tomorrow. I'm off from work tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Vino Viento. Boy, you're awfully quiet now. You say thank you, bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, and let's go Mets. We'll get him tomorrow again. And of course, I got nothing more to say. I'm all screwed up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'll see you later.